Folks, episode 3. I'm in the same outfit and whatever. No, just kidding. We got El Presidente, Gordon Moore with us today. So yay. Welcome. We're talking about the journey from internship to missionary.
What did you just say?
Aura?
Our aura.
No.
Our aura? No, we already did.
When you were talking
We already
about-
did secret sauce. You can't
When
just
you're
throw out
talking about
another.
secret sauce and you're like, it's this. I was
It's
like,
the aura.
It's Ladora's aura.
Got you. So we're here to talk about the internship to missionary life, or internship to mission. Internship to mission. The beautiful thing about these two is they didn't just watch an infomercial online or something and get captivated that way. They actually started out as interns with Adore Ministries, and so wanted to talk to these folks, these fine folks, to hear a little bit more about that, because you might be sitting there, you might know somebody that you want to pray for that is discerning, going deeper in their faith into mission territory, mission life, and why not start with an internship like what we do with Adore Ministries. And so let's take it over to Gordon to talk about how your heart was stirred up
So how I
in
joined
that
the
secret
internship.
sauce. Yes, how you joined the internship
Well, it did start.
from an infomercial.
No, but it started when I was going by the name Michael. So,
We're going. Okay, got you. We're going there.
so the reason everyone out here knows me as Gordon, but the reason
Your confirmation name?
no, that's my real name.
His real
name
real
is
legal
Gordon
name.
Michael Moore.
Gordon Michael Moore. That sounds cool.
Yeah,
Oh, Michael Moore, because of the guy who does
that's
the.
not why I'm named.
That's
Michael
why
Moore.
you don't want to be
No.
Michael Moore.
No.
Because the guy who does the gotcha documentaries, like.
About climate change, about all those things.
Yes.
That guy?
Yeah.
I know all the There's Michael Jordan, Michael Gordon, Gordon Ramsay,
You
Gotcha.
just went by
Jeff Gordon.
you just went by Michael because your dad's name is.
Yeah. I'm the
Right?
third
Yeah.
Gordon. My dad's Gordon, and
There you
my
go.
dad's dad was Gordon. I always think of like Finding Nemo, and he's like, "Yo," and my dad was Mr. Turtle or whatever. The name's Crush. So in Georgia, because my dad, everyone called me Michael. My family comes out here and they'll be like calling me Michael, and all my coworkers and everyone's like, "Who is that?" I think everyone's pretty used to it now, but.
My first introduction to it was pretty memorable. We were going.
Yes.
I was.
So I use
Go ahead,
Michael
tell.
whenever I order food because Gordon is not a difficult name, but it's more easily confused for other things. Michael, no one messes up. So whenever I order a drink or anything, I'm like Michael. And when I'm with someone brand new, like Josh, I'm like Michael.
He says it just like that too.
Michael. And then they're like, Michael? I'm like, that's me.
What's the worst that you've gotten out of
No,
Gordon?
it's not bad. It's
No,
just easier.
like when
Just
what's the worst
Jordan.
you've heard with
Jordan's
Jordan,
the most
Gordon?
common one. Yeah.
His
And-
name is far easier. Trust me.
Yeah.
I think it's Briston.
Oh, what do you get when you go out to places like? How do people butcher that name?
I've gotten Bryson, Kristen, Christina, Christine, Brisket.
No.
Yeah. Brixton with an X. That
Oh.
was an interesting one.
Now that's a keeper.
I like brisket.
Brisket, I do get
Yeah.
called often. Bryce, if I haven't said that, I don't know. I get like basically anything other than Briston. So when someone does say Briston, I look at them in shock. And they're like, is that wrong? And I went, no, that's right.
Is there one that you've heard that you're like, actually, I'm gonna keep that in my back pocket. I might use that one day.
I just say Kristen sometimes.
There
Like he
you go.
says Michael. Sometimes I'll go up and I'll just go Kristen. And then that still gets spelled.
Christine,
Kristen still gets spelled
Christine.
so many different ways.
stop. I'm gonna look at this camera. Stop doing that. Like,
But also, no one even spells Briston right. So, like, I'm sure if I asked you to spell it right now, you couldn't.
Only 'cause I saw it in-
He's misspelled it to me in text.
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Brystin.
Yes, that is correct.
There you go. But it could have easily been Bristyn.
Sure.
Maybe.
I've never gotten the Y. Usually people never put the Y, but I'll get Briston or En. I get.
Wow.
What have I gotten anything else instead of I there? I think it's always an I.
Gotcha.
But like the ending is what's different.
Bet. Awesome. I'm learning a lot. I'm sure this is not great quality content for you, but I enjoy it very much, the banter back and forth. So let's talk about internship, Gordon,
Yeah.
when you were Michael.
When I was Michael, I mean,
Go
I'm
for it.
still Michael. So from Georgia originally, and there was a previous missionary with a door. His name was Matt Hawkins, but
We'll call him Matt.
he went by
No,
Hawk.
you call him
actually.
Hawk.
Oh,
So
you
just
call him a
I'm
hawk.
gonna hit you.
Yeah.
Because that's what he would do.
So,
Gotcha.
so we had a missionary.
Hawk.
His name was Hawk.
That's great.
And he was from my home parish back in Georgia, and he left to join a door, and I stepped away from. When I went into college, I was going for business, that's where I ended up getting a degree in. And at some point, I decided like to kind of just step away from the faith in order, because I was like, do I believe everything that I know I believe when it comes to God and who God is and the Catholic Church, because I was cradle Catholic and raised to believe that, or do I actually believe this stuff? So I did like a 3-year deep dive of like podcasts, books, content of like studying Catholicism, I didn't really study Catholicism until the end, but studying like every other religion, studying all these things, what I was told was bad, what I was told was good, all those things. And then I believed in a creator, believed in a God, but that was kind of the end all. And then I felt really content, started going on different retreats, and I went into the Awakening retreat and kind of had this like resurgence of just encountering the true presence of Jesus in adoration, and also just over the course of that weekend. And that invited me back to like, okay, Jesus is real, which means the gospel is real, which means everything he's done for me is real. I didn't come running back to the church yet, another year. And during this 3-year journey, we've had this internship, and it's a summer internship. It's not like you can join any time of the year. It's just over the course of June through August. Hawk would text me every year, and he would say like, hey, we have an internship out here for a door. I never knew what he was doing. I knew he was working for the church, but I didn't know he was a missionary, and I didn't know in what capacity a door served. He's like, you should consider doing it. So I just knew it was church related. I wasn't really going to church, so I kept being like, I kept just sending the blanket text, I'll pray about it, and never prayed about it. And then
Nice.
graduated. At this point, I was helping put on Awakening retreats. So once you kind of like similar to Acts, once you attend Awakening, you can only like attend once. So I started like helping serve. I was on my 3rd Awakening retreat that weekend after my graduation, and I remember on my drive up, Hawk texted me again, hey, we have this summer internship. You should think about going. And I said, I'll pray about it, just because I was on my way to Awakening.
Dang, that's your line, man.
Yeah, it was
That's
my
crazy.
line. And then I was in adoration, praying for the retreatants, and I just asked God, like, I just graduated, just have a business degree, like now what? I had always had this thought before going to college that I would either have a gap year before college or a gap year after college, and at the time I was like, I'm going to go do the Peace Corps. So Peace Corps and then college, or college and then Peace Corps. So I was like, so now what? Do I go get a job? If so, where? Like, what do I do with all this stuff? And Hawk's text came up again, so I prayed about that, and God's like, yeah, you should go do this Adore thing. And I was like, God, I don't know what this Adore thing is. And he's like, I know, but you should just go do it. And I said, okay. And at this point, because I was doing like Awakening retreats like every other month, I knew the retreat high, so I knew like, I just said yes to God in adoration on a retreat. If I don't do something with this, like in the first 3 days that I'm home, this is going to be gone. So I emailed Jonathan on Monday.
And who's Jonathan, just for?
He was not the president at the time. He was the contact Hawk gave me. I reached out to Hawk and I was like, I'm going to do this thing. When he's like, contact this person. The applications weren't open. At that point, I think they'd handpick interns within like a month before summer started. So it was like January. So this was like, they hadn't even thought about the internship. And I emailed Jonathan. We scheduled a phone call the next day, and he wanted to start this like 3-month process of us like meeting talking periodically. And I was like, can we just like, by the second phone call, which was like a week later, he's like, so what do you want to do? Do you want to keep thinking about it? You want to pray? And I was like, can we just like commit to this? Because if we don't, I might be out. And I'm like super in. And he's like, okay, we'll commit to this. And at that point, I was like, that's when I started studying the Catholic faith. Because I was like, wait, if I'm going to go work for the church, I don't think I know anything about my faith. So I started like listening to Pints of Aquinas and studying like the catechism. And it was like the first time of those 3 years when I was studying religion, but not Catholicism, that when I was studying Catholicism, I fell in love with the church.
Wow.
And I still at the time had no idea what a door was. Like that was never really part of the conversation with Jonathan. It was more of like vibes of like, hey, where's your heart at? What's your story? And I knew I wanted to work for the church, but I didn't want to do youth ministry. I don't know why. I think I loved my youth minister, and I was just like, she did a great job. That's not for me. And came out here, started youth ministry, missioning to kids, really. But youth ministry looked different. It was like just hanging out on soccer fields and going to get like ices and frozen snow cones with kids and doing that kind of stuff. And I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with the community. I fell in love with the secret sauce we talked about that wasn't really coined in terms of, there was 6 interns, I think, that summer. And we had a strong community, and we would hang out and go and try to see the sunset at a beach where the sunset's behind you. We'd go to see the sun rise at a sunset at a beach where we didn't think about like where the sun rises and where the sun sets. So we showed up to see the sunrise, and the sun's like rising the buildings.
Okay.
behind
Oh,
us.
cool.
Because east and west, we didn't think that through. And that's how I started.
Gotcha. And you were saying that you didn't start doing a deep dive into your faith until
like 2 months before I was going into this internship. I was like, okay, wait a minute.
Dude, that sounds like how I got engaged.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't know.
That's amazing. I mean,
I didn't
and
go to school for theology or anything.
Got you.
I was self-taught, and like
Yeah.
I need to like consume
That's
my
awesome.
faith if I'm going to be like living it. I didn't know I was going to be teaching it. I just knew I needed to like know more.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. Hey, man. Cool. All right. Thank
Answer
you.
your question?
No, yeah, it does. Well, I had another question in my back pocket, and it was, when God spoke to you, like, does he call you Gordon or Michael?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, he just said Adore. He didn't say my name.
He doesn't call you by name.
He did not call him by name, folks. He's talking to the other guy next to him.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
crazy.
know.
Briston, how about for you? How did we get from where you are now to the internship? Even before that, because I think part of your story goes even before the discernment, you were probably just a teen.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I am originally from Ohio, and I.
In a well-known town, right?
Oh, wait.
No, it is not well known. I guess maybe someone out there knows Portsmouth, Ohio. It is the home of the Portsmouth Spartans, which are now the Detroit Lions.
Whoa, that's a cool
I
fact.
also hold 2 world records.
We do, and some Christmas Hallmark records. We are a Hallmark town, Christmas town. Whatever it's called.
I have a
holiday town.
look in my mind. Is it like, I don't like.
It is not.
Probably not.
It is not?
No, it is being very
look.
revitalized, but like it is just like the downtown space.
Cute.
It's very
Okay.
small town Ohio, rural farm, all of that. Like I grew up on a farm,
Nice.
essentially. With my dad and then with my mom, we lived like more downtown. Yeah, I'm from Ohio. I went to public school through 8th grade, and then my freshman year, I transferred to a Catholic school. Knew nothing about being Catholic, anything
Gotcha.
like that. I was not Catholic at the time.
Oh.
And the way like the school system worked was that it was 7th through 12th grade at the high school, and 7th through 9th grade had like one big unit that like broke up over those 3 years. So I get shoved into the last year of it, and I'm like, what are they talking about? This sounds insane. So that summer, my mom found an RCIA program that was going to last from June till October. And she thought, hey, let's just go do this. Then like you and your sister can get like an idea of what you're learning,
Yeah.
like more in depth, so that
Right.
way you're prepared. And I can also learn about it, so that way I can help you if you have a question.
Full immersion. Go
Yeah.
right in. Yeah.
At the time, we didn't have this intention to become Catholic. However, about halfway through the summer, I remember I just had something that was like sitting right, but I'm like 14, 15, and I'm like, I don't know how to tell my mom that. Luckily, she said it. We were at lunch, and she just said, I think we should do this, and I went, I do too, and my little sister agreed. And so that October, now I'm really horrible because I can't remember if it was the 12th or the 13th, but I want to say the 13th of October. is when we became Catholic. So we received
Wow.
all of our sacraments.
What year?
2015. 2012.
Okay, so
Whoa.
it's gonna be because that's next. This is that.
It's in
the
my
12th
phone.
The 12th
Yeah,
is
it's
Saturday.
my daughter's
the
birthday.
13th
I'm
is
never gonna-
Monday. So
Monday.
coming up on, from when we're recording this.
Yeah.
Coming up on
year.
13.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think yeah. 13
Wow.
years of being Catholic.
Let's go.
Um,
That's amazing.
but yes, so we became Catholic, and from there, I just had my religion class at school. Like there wasn't youth ministry or anything, and so I was going to mass and this, but I didn't know like what it meant to like pray outside of like the occasional prayer. I didn't know like what it meant to have my own faith. My junior year, I remember it very vividly. I was a cheerleader in high school, and we were at a football game, an away game, and one of my really close friends, Brooke, she got my attention and said, "Hey, this is Megan and Paul, and like they're coming to Portsmouth." And I was like, they were like adults, and I was like, "Okay, cool." And they're like, "They're gonna start youth ministry," and I went, "What's that?" kind of thing. And then they got to explain it, and I got to talk to them and get to know them a little bit. And they started with like a Christmas like kind of thing over winter break. Like we watched a movie, I remember, and just had fun. But from there, their last name is Baum. So like the Baums, they really just taught each of us what it actually meant to pray, what it meant to have this relationship with God. And the cool part is that they were Adore missionaries at the time. So my hometown was like a one-off outside of Houston.
Yeah, I was gonna
mission.
say.
And I don't really know the logistics behind it, but I know that Megan knew the president at the time, N.E. Hickman, through like mission trips and stuff they had done together. And she, I believe somehow with that and like a need in my hometown for youth ministry is how it kind of started. I'd have to ask all the logistics behind that. But yeah, so technically I am an Adore teen. I got to experience like a missionary pouring into me, and they did do that discipleship and that like pouring in and really teaching me what it meant to like live out my faith. After high school, I took 2 years off, so I had 2 gap years, which drove my mom a little crazy at first. But I was volunteering like as a core team member, and then I started college, and then continued as a core team member until eventually in 2019. I've said in a different episode of just how I finally filled out the application and decided to intern, and it was after hearing about it multiple years and saying like maybe this summer and then saying no. And that summer was just really like impactful, and it was really cool. Like you mentioned, like your group was really close and they did a lot together, and it was the same thing with mine. I remember some of the admin at the time asking like, "Why are you guys so close? What about this?" And we were all like, "I don't know. We're all experiencing the same thing, and like we want friends that are doing that." But we did so much together. I remember like being in my host home, like my host mom, she at the time, and she might still be, but was like a city manager for somewhere in Houston, and we got to be at a 4th of July parade. We did that. We did a lot of just really like funny like trips on like Saturdays together. We like took over the Heights and like just walked through all kinds of different shops. I have so many pictures. We made an Instagram that was just really goofy and funny, and so we would just post funny things on there. And it was just a fun time. And the same thing, I actually missioned that summer at the same place Gordon did for his internship, and spent all this time like on soccer fields and doing all of the similar things. It was just very, very impactful and funny to see like how God worked and like where I'm at now.
Mm-hmm. Wow. From there, and I'll stay with you actually for this. Like, what do you think was the biggest draw for you? Like, I mean, even through prayer or just in your conversations, like to keep you as like from intern to actual missionary.
It really was, I think, the idea that I could give a teen the same thing I got as a teenager. It's not that like my family like didn't care about me or something, but sometimes it could feel hard. Especially like where I grew up, it was really hard to like talk to my mom sometimes, or to talk to like my dad, because we didn't have a great relationship at the time, or like my siblings who like they weren't religious really, So like, how am I supposed to like share this about them and to have adults like pouring into me and actually wanting me to grow in that and to like be able to talk to me and like explain that like the emotions I'm feeling or like this hurt that I've experienced, that's okay. It's not a bad thing necessarily. And helping me work through that into this relationship with God. And I just really wanted to be able to like provide that for a teen, to show them that there is someone that cares about them and is going to listen and is going to help, like, challenge them, sure, but also like do it in a way that's loving and not expecting some perfect like image of them from the get-go.
Right. Got you. Because I don't know, as I'm hearing y'all's stories, and albeit very beautiful, like I would think putting myself in the shoes of the listener, or as I'm hearing it myself, for the first time, I'm like, oh my gosh, bro, like, how did you guys get over the obstacles of like, just even your own thoughts of just natural things that you think about, like, living off of the generosity of others as a missionary, right? To go from, or, internships, like, okay, I'm going to try it out for a summer, but then like, okay, I like it. And not only that, the Lord's feeding me through it. Like he's guiding me. And then you go into the natural, like, can you talk about that? Like, for you guys, and maybe you guys didn't have it. Maybe you guys were just like, no, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to just throw it all.
No,
what were some of the natural human things, logistical things that you were just like, that was kind of getting in the way that you had to overcome in order to fully say yes to the missionary life? And I guess we'll go back to you.
I don't know, because I think it was probably a grace at the time that I didn't know what I was signing up for. Mm-hmm. And so I think for me it was the lack of, like, I felt, before I started studying everything, I felt like, I guess, a little bit of imposter syndrome. I've said yes to this thing, but I'm not really practicing my faith. So that's when I really started to practice it a lot and just study it. And I think what helped with, like, the financial support of, like, fundraising and, like, allowing for God to provide is knowing that it was temporary. In my head, I was going to be gone come August, so if I suffered and was broke for 2.5 months, no harm, no foul. And then they, for our internship, we provide housing. So we usually team up with host homes. And so I was living, where did I stay for the internship? I don't even remember. But I was living with some.
You're here now.
Yeah, I was with Hawk, I think, in someone's house. I think his name was Bob.
Were you with the Wilsons?
No, I think it was with Bob in Fresno, and
Yes.
yeah, I do remember that now because I took his toilet seat.
What?
Among the many things you can encounter with the
We
dorm
broke
industries,
it, and I took it.
broke a toilet seat.
Yeah, I was into art at the time, and I thought I would make an art piece.
How'd that go? What's the finished product?
Never used it. I left it in my mom's basement.
Okay. These are like, there's more things that you take from host families?
I took junk at the time.
I didn't take anything from my host. I can tell you that.
We don't pilfer from our host families, folks.
I did edit a
Or we
picture of the
do.
door logo on all of the interns' foreheads once.
Yeah, so I think it was that. It's like, I'm not a very anxious person, so I think if you're, like, really anxious about, like, making sure you have a certain recruiting income, then I do think there's some nervousness there, but we have better foundation of training now than I think we did when I came in. At that time, like, I met with Peter once, and they're like, this is what you do, and I just kind of, like, asked for letters. But also the fundraising is easier, I think, for the internship than lifelong.
Yes.
So to answer your question, I think the transition from, like, if you do the internship, and like Briston and I, you fall in love with the work and you want to do it full time, that was what I was unprepared for. Coming into it full time, I was like, oh, I didn't do the foundational fundraising work that I need to do, and now what do I do, and how do I make a living? And I scraped along for about 1.5 years.
Same. Fundraising for, like, the single summer, that was great. I, like, went over the goal a little bit, but it was, like, in cash. So I remember being told, like, just keep it, like, as a cash donation, like, it's fine, and use it for the summer. And I used it on teens, and it was great. Lived at, like, fine. Everything was great. And then when I realized suddenly, like, that was the thing that for a while was, like, really hard in my brain. And like Gordon said, we have better structures now. Like, even when I interned, I don't think I even like was told how to fundraise. I was just told, go do this. And I went, okay, sure. And the missionaries that were like with me in Ohio, they like helped me like write up like a mass talk. We, did all of that. But like when it came to full time, I was like, I don't know how I could say yes to that because I don't know what I'm doing. But we now have like different training methods and actually like walking with people, and like that's been really great. But I definitely struggled for a period of time with the fundraising, even as full time. But what was really cool for me is every time I felt like I can't keep doing this, it would be like a breakdown in prayer of just like, I keep trying to trust and keep trying to give, and maybe I am holding back still in some way. And then suddenly something would happen, and I now can survive for another couple months and be fine. And it is all God. And I remember meeting with Peter as well, kind of as we started like better training once I was full time and stuff, and talking with him about it. And he's the one who helped me realize like some of like that I was holding back too comes from like a wound growing up of just my family wasn't well off. Like we didn't have a lot. Like my dad like went from blue collar to like farm work, and my mom worked 2 jobs. Like, we didn't have a lot. Like we were fine. Everything was good, and my mom made sure we had everything we could want or need. But like, it was kind of that mentality of like, but I don't know how to survive if I'm not like if I have to ask people. So it was almost like pride, and getting over that and like praying with that. And I'm really grateful to have had Peter like to help me like walk through that and to like grow.
Who was this Peter, or what
Peter
role did
Fontana.
he serve?
He was, I don't even know what his title was.
I don't know.
He had multiple titles over years, but he was like the
He
guy.
was in charge of our movement, so like we had family dinners.
Yeah,
we had
because he
used
did
to
one at
put
his
on,
house.
like big events in terms of like
He was the
conferences, and that's really why he was hired on originally. Was he's helped with like studio and production and stuff. So
guy. I mean, the name I knew him as an intern before. I didn't even meet him that summer, but I was told he was Party Peter.
yeah. But the main thing is that he came from what's the missionary organization that he was with? Right, you remember
The family thing?
No, the
SPO.
yes.
SPO. Because his brother
was
also
missionary with SPO, and so before Peter, like fundraising was just like cold calling people that you knew and just asking for money. Peter had some sort of better foundation when it comes to fundraising and like what that looks like
and
from SPO, and so he brought that into Adore. So by the time I came in Adore, he was already there, and he brought in like Henry Nouwen's book on like spirituality of fundraising, and then the God Ask, and we're essentially like what MPD is now, and like the more foundational structure that we use and are trained in to make sure it's successful.
Yeah, no, he was great.
But
he just isn't with Adore anymore.
That's Peter. No.
Got you. So, for someone that is discerning this kind of life, the greatest gift that you've received after overcoming some of those obstacles, or that pride, or that anxiety, right? The greatest gift that was given to you, or that you're still unwrapping, even in year 6 or year 8 of ministry, just for a person. What?
What is the extra question there?
That was just what's been the greatest gift in your ministry, in your missionary life, that could help someone say like, maybe that's waiting for you at the end of this, after you get over this stuff.
I think for me, it's just the relationship you're able to build with people at the mission and like with your teens and like even their families. I have some of my teens' families that are on my support team now,
Wow.
which is really cool. And in the relationship with those teens, watching them grow from like, sometimes they like really want like God from the get-go, and so it's like really cool just to see like they're just really on fire from the start, but like also the teens that are like a little skeptical and like unsure because they're coming to confirmation class because mom said, hey, you have to do this, and watching them grow and getting to be excited for them when things happen in their lives. Like I have 2 girls that I discipled for 4 years. They just graduated high school in May. And getting to watch them apply to college and like that. I got asked to write a recommendation letter for one of them, and it's part of the letter that got her into the University of Alabama. She picked LSU instead.
Okay.
Fine. Even though I'm Roll Tide.
go.
And then another one of my students got a full ride and enough Pell Grants to cover her room and board to Vanderbilt. And just like getting to be excited for that and like how cool that is, because if I was just, I could be excited as a youth minister, but I've been able to pour into them outside of just our like youth room setting. Like I've been able to like meet them at a coffee shop and actually dive into that, and I think that's the part that's really cool and made it all worth it, is because I get to see these kids thrive. I get to see their families thrive. And that's really cool.
Gotcha. Cool. How for you, man?
I think we're honestly reflecting on this like right now, like asking these questions. I've really thought about like my yes to the internship, and when I think back on like when I said yes, and really like what I was just saying, like what made it easy was knowing that in August I was going back home, and obviously I'm still here. So I didn't go back home, and I can't really connect the dots of like, I remember for the first year talking to my mom or my dad, talking to anyone, like they would ask like how I was doing, and really the questions that they would want to know is like, how much are you making, this or that. On paper, what I was doing seemed impossible, and but there's something like exhilarating about it. So I think like the biggest takeaway was like, I don't even remember how or why I said yes, I just did. But yeah. I think the summer, besides like the joy of really just encountering these teens, like the internship is like, I learned a lot about myself. Mm-hmm. Like figuring out like you could spend a lifetime, or even like in full-time mission, it take a long time to realize like, what does it look like to rely on God? And the internship, you're just kind of like, you ask that question and the person just shoves you off the cliff. And so you're just kind of like relying on God. So it's like that with fundraising thrown into like, hey, here's how you disciple someone, and here's how you give a talk. Now go do it like right now. Like you don't give a month or whatever to practice. We need you to do it, because if you don't do it now, the internship's over. And then also the hardest part of mission, which is like you get to walk and meet these teens and impact their lives, and then you have to go. And I think something that's really hard in mission is like, especially the parishes which we serve, is like we might not be in that parish forever. You might need to move. Like, it could be tomorrow that I tell Briston, like, hey, I need you to move from St. Joe's to a different parish. Like, there's this adaptability of like where we are called in that moment, and those places aren't ours. They're just where God has put us. And you're like, the interns we just had this summer, that was the hardest thing. I remember when Chris asked them, like, what was your takeaway? It was like, well, like feeling like I didn't do anything. Like there was no fruit. I'm not going to see that fruit. That was the hardest thing, of just trusting that the little that I did was enough and was going to do something. Really just learning about like how much, what it really feels like in like a vacuum to rely on God and also just like be a part of His work. That's the takeaway I get from the internship. Yeah.
Well, thanks guys for sharing just what drew you here, what brought you here, what keeps you here, really, right? And for those that are still interested in that or finding out more, head on to our website. We're gonna have a link there at the bottom for you to check out as well. And just keep following us and keep sharing maybe your glory stories of mission life or ministry life, and how that kind of what the Lord is doing in that place, in that space. So we're really excited to keep going with.
And depending on when this comes out, the internship applications are open through March 1st. And I think the internship is like May 29th through August.
Beginning of August.
Good.
Does not mean you're committing to anything besides having this conversation. What does that look like? What does that mean? And what's required of me? Yeah. The internship dates would be May 29th through like sometime in the second week of August. Go to our website and check it out there.
He's in the way of the light, but whatever.
Oh, that's fine.
I don't know. We'll see.
And don't worry, I won't cold call you. I'll text you first and find out
cold
when
calls.
I can call you.
Right.
And then interview you.
All our calls are hot.
Talk about that.
The lines are buzzing. The lines are buzzing. We got 2 lines, one for Gordon, one for Michael. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Catch you in the next one. That's the thing. Yes.